The envelope was sitting on my kitchen table when I came home from church. It was already opened. My name was on the front, but someone had sliced through the seal before I ever touched it. Inside was a letter from Sunset Grove, Assisted Living. Dear Mrs. Beatrice Elaine Crawford, we are pleased to confirm your reservation for a private suite beginning January 15th. Your daughter, Ms. Nadine Crawford Phillips, has completed all necessary paperwork and provided the initial deposit. We look forward to welcoming you to our community. I read the letter 3 times. My daughter had reserved a room for me in a nursing home. She had completed the paperwork. She had paid the deposit. And she had not said a single word to me about any of it. I set the letter down and looked around my kitchen. The kitchen where I had cooked 10,000 meals, where I had fed my children, my grandchildren, my husband before he passed, where I had built a life over 43 years. And my daughter had decided, without asking, without consulting, without even telling me that my life in this house was over. January 15th was 3 weeks away. Nadine arrived an hour later. She walked through my front door without knocking, the way she always did. She was carrying grocery bags, her face arranged in that bright, false smile she used when she wanted something. Mama, I brought you some things from the store. Fresh vegetables, that tea you like. What is this? I held up the letter. Nadine's smile flickered. Oh, you found that. Found it, it was sitting on my kitchen table. Opened, in my house. What is this, Nadine? She set down the grocery bags and sighed, like I was being difficult, like I was the problem. Mama, we need to talk about your future. I have been worried about you, living alone in this big house. Your health is not what it used to be, I thought. You thought you would decide my future without asking me. I was going to tell you. When, after the movers arrived, after you sold my house. Mama, you are being dramatic. I stood up slowly. My 71-year-old knees protested, but I ignored them. I am being dramatic. My daughter reserves a room in a nursing home behind my back, and I am being dramatic. Nadine crossed her arms. It is not a nursing home. It is assisted living. There is a difference. The difference does not matter. What matters is that you made this decision without me. You decided my future like I was a child who could not be trusted with her own life. Because you cannot be trusted, Mama. You forget things. You leave the stove on. You fell last month and did not tell anyone for 2 days. I tripped over the garden hose. I did not fall because I am senile. You are in denial. Everyone can see it except you. I stared at my daughter, this woman I had raised, this woman I had sacrificed for, this woman who now stood in my kitchen, telling me I was not capable of managing my own existence. Who is everyone, Nadine? Who else knows about this? She hesitated. Jerome agrees with me, so does Terrence. Jerome was her husband. Terrence was my son, Nadine's older brother. Terrence knows, and he agreed to this. He thinks it is for the best. We all do. My children had discussed my future. They had made decisions. They had agreed on a plan. And no one had bothered to include me in the conversation. That was the moment I understood. I was not a person to them anymore. I was a problem to be solved, an inconvenience to be managed, a line item on someone's to-do list. My daughter had decided my future without me. And I accepted it. At first. Fine, I said quietly. Nadine blinked, surprised. What? Fine, if you think this is best, if everyone agrees, I will go. Really, just like that. What choice do I have, Nadine? You have already made the decision. You have already paid the deposit. Clearly, my opinion does not matter. Nadine's face softened with relief. She had expected a fight. She had prepared arguments and evidence. And here I was, surrendering without a struggle. Oh, Mama, thank you. Thank you for understanding. I know this is hard, but it really is for the best. You will love Sunset Grove. They have activities and gardens and... I'm sure it is lovely. And we will visit all the time. Every week, I promise. Every week. That was what they all said. Every week became every month became every holiday became never. I knew how this story ended. But I did not argue. I did not cry. I did not beg. I accepted it. At first. Now, if you are still with me, I need to ask you something. Have you ever had someone decide your future without asking you? Have you ever been treated like you did not matter? Like your voice was not worth hearing? If you have, then you understand why I am telling this story. And if you want to hear what happened next, how my acceptance turned into something else entirely, then subscribe to this channel. Press that button. It tells me you want more stories like this one. Hit the like button too, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss what comes next. Drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from. Tell me if someone has ever decided something important about your life without asking you first. Now, let me continue. The days after Nadine's announcement were a performance. I played the role of the resigned old woman, the mother who had accepted her fate, the grandmother who would go quietly into the twilight of her life. When Nadine called to check on me, I was cooperative. Have you started packing, Mama? A little. There is so much to go through. Do not worry about most of it. Jerome said we can have an estate sale. Get rid of the things you do not need. Get rid of the things I do not need. My furniture, my photographs, my 43 years of memories. That sounds sensible, I said. When Terrence called, the first time he had called in months, I was understanding. Mama, I know this is hard, but Nadine is right. You need more support than you can get living alone. I know, baby. I appreciate you looking out for me. We just want what is best for you. What is best for me? Everyone kept saying that, but no one had asked me what I thought was best. I did not point that out. I did not argue. I remembered. 3 days after I found the letter, I drove to my lawyer's office. His name was Harold Preston. He had handled my husband's estate when William died 8 years ago. He was 78 years old, sharp as a tack, and one of the few people I trusted completely. Beatrice, what brings you in today? I told him everything. The letter, Nadine's announcement, the decision made without my knowledge or consent. Harold listened without interrupting. When I finished, his face was grim. Your daughter reserved a room in an assisted living facility without your permission. Did she use your money for the deposit? I do not know. She did not tell me the details. We need to find out. If she accessed your accounts without authorization, that is financial exploitation. She is on one of my accounts, a checking account I added her to years ago for emergencies. Harold shook his head. That is a common mistake. When you add someone to an account, they have full access. She could have used your own money to fund your placement. My own money. Used to pay for a nursing home I never agreed to enter. What can I do? First, we protect your assets. Remove Nadine from any accounts she is on. Transfer your funds to accounts only you control. Second, we review your estate documents. If she has been making decisions without your consent, we need to ensure she cannot do the same with your property or your will. What about the nursing home? Can she force me to go? Not unless she has you declared mentally incompetent. And from what I can see, you are perfectly competent. Sharp, articulate, aware of your situation. No court would grant her guardianship based on what you have described. So I do not have to go. You do not have to do anything you do not want to do. You are a grown woman, Beatrice. Your daughter does not get to decide your future. I felt something shift inside me, a spark of defiance that had been smothered by the shock of Nadine's betrayal. I did not have to accept this. I did not have to go quietly. I could fight back. That afternoon, I went to the bank. I removed Nadine from my checking account. I transferred my savings to a new account at a different bank, one my children did not know about. I changed the PIN on my debit card. The banker who helped me was a young woman named Keisha. She did not ask questions, but I could see the understanding in her eyes. Is there anything else I can help you with, Mrs. Crawford? Can you tell me if any large withdrawals were made from my account recently? In the last month? Keisha checked her computer. There was a withdrawal of $5,000 2 weeks ago, made by the joint account holder. $5,000, the deposit for Sunset Grove. Nadine had used my money to reserve a room I never asked for. Thank you, Keisha. That is all I needed to know. I did not confront Nadine. Not yet. Instead, I called my grandson, Darius. Darius was Terrence's son, 24 years old, recently graduated from law school. He had always been different from the rest of the family, thoughtful, curious, genuinely interested in my life and my stories. Grandma, is everything okay? I need your help, baby, but I need you to keep it between us. Can you do that? Of course. What is going on? I told him about Nadine's plan, about the nursing home, about the money she had taken without asking. Darius was quiet for a long moment. Grandma, that is financial exploitation. It is a crime. I know, baby, but I do not want to press charges against my own daughter. Not yet. I want to understand what is really happening. I want to know why. Why she is doing this. Yes, Nadine has always been controlling, but this is different. This is deliberate, calculated. There must be a reason. What do you want me to do? I want you to find out what you can. Quietly, talk to your father, see what he knows, but do not let anyone know we have spoken. I can do that, but Grandma, if Aunt Nadine is really trying to take advantage of you, then I will deal with her, in my own way, in my own time. The next 2 weeks were an education in deception. On the surface, I continued to play my role, the resigned mother, the cooperative grandmother, the old woman preparing to leave her home. But beneath the surface, I was gathering intelligence. Darius discovered that Terrence was in financial trouble. His business had failed 6 months ago, and he was behind on his mortgage. Nadine had been helping him with loans that came from an account she was not supposed to have access to. My account. Harold discovered that Nadine had been contacting real estate agents. She had gotten estimates on my house. She had discussed timelines for selling. She was not just sending me to a nursing home. She was liquidating my entire life. And she thought I had no idea. 10 days before my scheduled move, Nadine came to help me pack. She arrived with empty boxes and a cheerful attitude that made my skin crawl. Let us start with your bedroom, Mama. You will not need most of this furniture. The facility provides everything. I watched her sort through my possessions, deciding what I could keep and what would be sold, touching things that held decades of memories, discarding pieces of my life like they meant nothing. This jewelry box is nice. Is there anything valuable in here? Just costume jewelry, nothing worth anything. That was a lie. My mother's diamond earrings were hidden in a false bottom. So was my wedding ring from William, a 2-carat stone that was worth more than Nadine's car. She did not find them. She was not looking carefully. She assumed she had already won. What about these papers, Mama? Old bills and documents. Just throw them away. I do not need any of that. Another lie. The important documents, my will, my property deed, my financial records, were already in Harold's office. What Nadine was sorting through was junk I had planted for her to find. You are being so cooperative, Mama. I am proud of you. I just want what is best for everyone. She smiled, believing me completely. They thought time was on their side. They had no idea I was using that time against them. 1 week before the move, I made a phone call. Not to Harold, not to Darius. To my sister, Marguerite. Marguerite was 75 years old, lived in Atlanta, and had been a civil rights attorney for 40 years before retiring. She was fierce, brilliant, and absolutely terrifying when she was angry. Beatrice, it has been too long. How are you? I am being robbed, Marguerite, by my own daughter. I told her everything. The nursing home, the money, the house, the plan to liquidate my life without my consent. When I finished, Marguerite was silent for a long moment. This child has lost her mind, she finally said. Does she not know who raised her? Does she not know who you are? She thinks I am a confused old woman who does not understand what is happening. Then we will have to educate her. I was hoping you would say that. What do you need from me, Beatrice? I need you here, before January 15th. I need you standing beside me when I show Nadine exactly how wrong she was. I will be there, and Beatrice. Yes. When this is over, that girl is going to wish she had never been born. The night before my scheduled move to Sunset Grove, I could not sleep. I walked through my house in the darkness, touching the walls, the furniture, the door frames my husband had built with his own hands. 43 years of memories, 43 years of life. My daughter thought she could take all of this from me. She thought she could sign papers and make phone calls and erase everything I had built. She was wrong. Tomorrow, she would come to collect me. She would arrive with her boxes and her sympathy and her relief that the difficult part was finally over. But the difficult part was not over. It was just beginning. At 7 o'clock the next morning, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Nadine standing on my porch with Jerome and Terrence. They had brought a rental van. They had brought boxes and tape and the false smiles of people who think they have one. Good morning, Mama. Are you ready for your big day? I stepped aside to let them in. Actually, Nadine, there has been a change of plans. Her smile faltered. What do you mean? I gestured toward my living room. Sitting on my couch were Harold Preston, my lawyer, Darius, my grandson, and Marguerite, my sister, who was looking at Nadine like a hawk studying a mouse. What is this? Nadine asked, her voice tightening. This is an intervention, I said calmly, but not the kind you were expecting. Harold stood and handed Nadine a folder. Ms. Crawford Phillips, this is a cease and desist letter. It demands that you immediately stop all actions related to your mother's finances, property, and living arrangements. I do not understand. It also documents the $5,000 you withdrew from your mother's account without authorization. That is financial exploitation under state law, a felony. Nadine's face went pale. I was just trying to help. You were trying to steal. Marguerite stood up, her voice cutting like a blade. You were trying to sell your mother's house out from under her. You were trying to lock her away so you could take everything she has. That is not true. We have the real estate inquiries. We have the bank records. We have testimony from your own son about your brother's debts and your plans to pay them with your mother's money. Nadine turned to Terrence. Darius told them. Your son told them. Terrence looked stricken. I did not know about all of this, Nadine. I thought we were just helping Mama. You knew enough, Darius said quietly. You knew she was taking money from Grandma's account. You knew she was planning to sell the house. You just did not want to ask questions because you needed the money. The room fell silent. I stepped forward, facing my daughter. I accepted your decision at first, Nadine. I let you believe you had won. I let you think I was a confused old woman who did not understand what was happening. I held her gaze. But I understood everything, every phone call, every withdrawal, every plan you made behind my back. Nadine's eyes were wild with panic. Mama, please, I can explain. You cannot explain. There is no explanation that makes this acceptable. You decided my future without me. You stole my money. You tried to take my home. I stepped closer. But here is what you did not know, Nadine. I am not going to Sunset Grove. I am not going anywhere. And as of this morning, you are removed from every account, every document, every piece of my life. You cannot do this. I already have. Nadine stared at me, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. But there was something else in her eyes, something beyond panic. Calculation. Fine, she said, her voice suddenly cold. Fine, Mama, keep your house, keep your money, but this is not over. What does that mean? It means I have options you do not know about. It means I have been preparing for this longer than you realize. She turned and walked toward the door. Nadine. You think you are so smart, Mama. You think you have outsmarted me, but there are things you do not know, things that will change everything." She looked back at me one final time. "Enjoy your victory. It will not last." She walked out, slamming the door behind her. What was Nadine hiding? What options did she have that I did not know about? And how far was she willing to go to get what she wanted? I had won the first battle, but my daughter had just declared war. And this war was far from over. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The door slammed so hard the windows rattled. For a long moment, no one spoke. We stood in my living room, Harold, Marguerite, Darius, Terence, Jerome, and me, absorbing the aftermath of Nadine's departure. It was Marguerite who broke the silence. "That girl has something up her sleeve. I could see it in her eyes." "What could she possibly do?" Darius asked. "Grandma has removed her from everything. She has no access to the accounts. She cannot sell the house." "Nadine does not give up that easily," I said quietly. "She has been planning this for months, maybe longer. She will not walk away just because the first plan failed." Harold nodded grimly. "She mentioned options, things you do not know about. We need to find out what she means." Terence, who had been silent since his son's accusation, finally spoke. "I might know." Everyone turned to look at him. "What do you mean, Terence?" I asked. My son could not meet my eyes. "Nadine has been talking to a doctor, a psychiatrist. She mentioned it a few weeks ago. She said she was gathering evidence about your mental state." The words hit me like ice water. "She is trying to have me declared incompetent." I did not think she was serious. I thought she was just talking. But now you realize your sister is willing to do whatever it takes," Marguerite finished. Terence nodded miserably. "I am sorry, Mama. I should have told you. I should have stopped her." "Yes, you should have, but you did not, and now we have to deal with the consequences." That was the moment I understood the full scope of what I was facing. Nadine was not just trying to send me to a nursing home. She was building a legal case, documenting supposed evidence of my decline, preparing to go to court and have me declared mentally unfit. If she succeeded, she would become my guardian. She would control my finances. She would control my medical decisions. She would control everything. And I would have no power to stop her. Harold took charge immediately. "We need to get ahead of this. Beatrice, I want you to have a full cognitive evaluation, an independent assessment by a psychiatrist I trust. We need documentation proving you are mentally competent." "Done. What else?" "We need to find out who this doctor is that Nadine has been talking to. If he has already provided her with any kind of evaluation, we need to challenge it." "Terence, do you know the doctor's name?" Terence shook his head. "She did not tell me, just that he was someone who could help her prove you were not capable of living alone." "Then we find out," Marguerite said. "Darius, you are a lawyer. Start digging. Court records, medical board filings, anything that might tell us who Nadine is working with." Darius nodded. "I am on it." "What about Jerome?" I asked, looking at my son-in-law, who had remained silent throughout the entire confrontation. "Where do you stand in all of this?" Jerome shifted uncomfortably. "I just want what is best for everyone." That is not an answer. "Mrs. Crawford, I love your daughter, but I did not know about the money she took. I did not know about her plans to sell the house. She told me you had agreed to move to Sunset Grove. She told me everything was arranged." "And you believed her." "I had no reason not to." I studied my son-in-law. He was weak. He had always been weak. He let Nadine make all the decisions and went along with whatever she wanted. But was he complicit, or just a fool? "Jerome, if you want to prove you are not part of this, you need to help us. Tell us what you know. Tell us what Nadine has been planning." He hesitated. "She will never forgive me. She is trying to have me declared mentally incompetent and steal everything I have. Forgiveness is not on the table right now." Jerome looked at the floor for a long moment. Then he started talking. What Jerome told us was worse than I imagined. Nadine had been planning this for over a year. Not weeks, not months, over a year. It started when she discovered how much my house was worth. A real estate agent friend had mentioned that properties in my neighborhood were selling for over $600,000. Nadine had done the math: my house, my savings, my investments. She realized my estate was worth close to $1 million. And she decided she wanted it now, not after I died, now. She started documenting my decline. Every time I forgot a name or misplaced my keys, she wrote it down. Every time I repeated a story or asked a question twice, she noted it. She was building a file, evidence of dementia that did not exist. She recruited Terrence by offering to pay off his debts. She convinced him that I was genuinely declining and that taking control was an act of love. And she found a doctor, a psychiatrist named Dr. Marcus Webb, who specialized in competency evaluations. A man with a reputation for providing favorable assessments to families who wanted control over elderly relatives. She paid him already, Jerome said. $10,000. He was supposed to evaluate you next month after you were already in the nursing home. It would have looked like a routine assessment. But I would have already been institutionalized, I said. It would have been harder to fight the evaluation from inside Sunset Grove. Exactly. I sat back in my chair, absorbing the information. My daughter had spent a year building a trap, layer by layer, document by document, lie by lie. And she had almost succeeded. Marguerite was packing now, her lawyer's mind working through the problem. This Dr. Webb, if he is taking money to provide false evaluations, he has done it before. We need to find his other victims. How do we do that? Darius asked. Medical board complaints, court records, families who fought guardianship petitions and lost. Someone out there has been through this before. We find them, we build a pattern, we destroy Webb's credibility. Harold nodded. I have contacts at the state medical board. I can make some calls. Good, and Jerome, Marguerite fixed him with a stare that made him flinch. You are going to help us from the inside. Keep Nadine talking. Find out what her next move is. She will know something is wrong. She will suspect. Then be convincing. Your marriage is probably over anyway. The question is whether you want to be on the right side when this ends or locked up next to her. Jerome swallowed hard. What do you want me to do? The plan came together quickly. Darius would research Dr. Webb and any past complaints against him. Harold would contact the medical board and begin preparing a defense against any competency petition. Marguerite would coordinate everything, drawing on her decades of legal experience. And Jerome would be our spy. He would go home to Nadine, pretend nothing had changed, listen to her plans and report back to us. It was risky. Nadine was smart. If she suspected Jerome was betraying her, she would cut him off and we would lose our inside source. But it was our best option. Before everyone left, I pulled Terrence aside. We need to talk. He could not meet my eyes. Mama, I am so sorry. I did not know about all of it, I thought. You thought taking your mother's money was acceptable as long as you told yourself it was for her own good. He flinched. I was desperate, my business failed. I was about to lose my house. Nadine offered to help and I did not ask enough questions. No, you did not. I looked at my son, this man I had raised, this man I had loved and supported through every struggle of his life. And he had been willing to sell me out for money. Terrence, I am not going to pretend this does not hurt. It hurts more than you will ever know. But I need to understand something. What? Are you on my side now, truly? Because if you are still playing both sides, if you are still talking to Nadine behind my back, I need to know. Terrence was quiet for a long moment. I am on your side, Mama, I swear. What Nadine is doing is wrong. I see that now. I should have seen it before, but I was too caught up in my own problems. Then prove it, help us stop her. How? By being honest with me, completely honest. No more secrets, no more lies. If Nadine contacts you, you tell me immediately. If you hear anything about her plans, you report it. I will, I promise. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to trust that my son had finally chosen the right side. But trust was something he would have to earn, and I was no longer in the business of giving it away for free. That night, after everyone had gone, I sat alone in my living room. The house was quiet, the same house Nadine had tried to take from me, the same house where I had lived for 43 years. I thought about my daughter, about the girl she had been and the woman she had become. When had she changed? When had money become more important than family? When had she decided that I was worth more as an inheritance than as a mother? I did not have answers. Maybe I never would. But one thing I knew for certain. The Nadine who had walked out of my house today was not finished. She had spent a year building her trap. She was not going to abandon it just because I had escaped the first snare. She would come at me again, harder, smarter, more determined. And I needed to be ready. 3 days passed. Jerome reported that Nadine was furious but regrouping. She had called Dr. Webb and moved up the timeline. She was pushing for an emergency competency evaluation, claiming I was a danger to myself. She is going to file a petition with the court, Jerome told us in a secret meeting at Harold's office. She wants a judge to order the evaluation. She is saying you are paranoid, delusional, suffering from dementia. On what evidence? The notes she has been keeping, the incidents she documented, and testimony from Dr. Webb about his concerns after reviewing her files. He has never even met me. That does not matter. She is going to claim you have been refusing to see doctors, that your paranoia is preventing you from getting the care you need. I shook my head in disbelief. She is creating a fictional version of me, a character who does not exist. And she is going to present that character to a judge, Marguerite said. We need to get ahead of this. Harold had already scheduled my independent evaluation for that afternoon. Dr. Patricia Oyelaren was a psychiatrist with an impeccable reputation. She specialized in geriatric mental health and had testified in dozens of competency cases, always for the truth, never for a paycheck. Her office was warm and comfortable. She greeted me with genuine kindness. Mrs. Crawford, thank you for coming. I understand you are dealing with a difficult family situation. My daughter is trying to have me declared mentally incompetent so she can steal my estate. Dr. Oyelaren nodded calmly. That is unfortunately more common than people realize. Today, I am going to conduct a comprehensive cognitive assessment, memory tests, reasoning exercises, questions about your daily life. At the end, I will provide a written report documenting my findings. And if Nadine challenges it, then I will testify in court. I have done it many times. My reports are thorough and my conclusions are defensible. We spent 3 hours together. She tested my memory, my problem-solving abilities, my understanding of current events. She asked about my daily routine, my finances, my social connections. At the end, she sat back and smiled. Mrs. Crawford, I have evaluated hundreds of patients. I can tell you with absolute certainty that you are cognitively intact. Your memory is excellent. Your reasoning is sharp. You are fully capable of making your own decisions and managing your own affairs. Will you put that in writing? I will put it in a 20-page report with supporting documentation. If your daughter tries to claim you are incompetent, she will have to explain how her assessment differs so dramatically from mine. I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. Thank you, Dr. Oyelaren. You are welcome, and Mrs. Crawford, do not let anyone tell you that you are less than you are. You are a strong, intelligent woman. Do not forget that. Armed with Dr. Oyelaren's evaluation, Harold filed a preemptive motion with the court. We were not waiting for Nadine to attack. We were going on the offensive. The motion requested a hearing to address the fraudulent competency claims being prepared against me. It included Dr. Oyelaren's assessment, documentation of Nadine's financial exploitation, and evidence of her year-long scheme to take control of my estate. Harold also filed a complaint against Dr. Webb with the state medical board, alleging that he was accepting payments to provide false evaluations. If Webb knows he is under investigation, he might back out, Harold explained. Without his testimony, Nadine's case falls apart. And if he does not back out, then we destroy him in court. Darius found 3 other families who filed complaints against Webb over the past 5 years. All of them claimed he provided false evaluations in exchange for payment. None of the complaints went anywhere. The families did not have enough evidence to prove their case. But we have evidence. We have Jerome's testimony about the $10,000. We have bank records showing the payment. And we have a pattern of behavior that the medical board cannot ignore. I nodded slowly. What about Nadine? Will she face consequences? Harold hesitated. That depends on what you want, Beatrice. We can pursue criminal charges for the financial exploitation. We can sue her for damages, or we can focus on protecting you and let the rest go. I thought about my daughter, about the woman she had become. I do not want to send my daughter to prison, I said finally. But I do want her to understand that her actions have consequences. I want her to know that she cannot treat people this way, especially her own mother, and walk away untouched. Then we find a middle ground. We stop her scheme. We protect your assets. And we make sure she never tries anything like this again. How do we do that? We make her afraid. We show her what we are capable of. And we give her one chance to walk away. 1 week later, the court hearing arrived. The courtroom was small and functional. Judge Elena Martinez presided, a stern woman in her 60s with a reputation for fairness and no tolerance for games. Nadine sat at one table with her lawyer, a polished man named Richard Crane. She was dressed conservatively, playing the role of the concerned daughter. I sat at the other table with Harold, Marguerite standing behind me for moral support. Darius and Terence were in the gallery. Jerome was notably absent. He had told Nadine he had a work conflict. In reality, he was waiting to testify if needed. This hearing concerns the matter of Beatrice Crawford and the preemptive motion filed by her counsel, Judge Martinez began. Mr. Preston, you may proceed. Harold stood. Your Honor, my client is a 71-year-old woman who has been the target of a systematic scheme by her own daughter to have her declared mentally incompetent and take control of her estate. He laid out our case methodically. The letter from Sunset Grove that Nadine had arranged without my knowledge. The $5,000 withdrawn from my account without authorization. The real estate inquiries. The year of documented evidence that Nadine had been compiling. The payment to Dr. Webb. We have an independent psychiatric evaluation from Dr. Patricia Oyelaren, Harold concluded, confirming that Mrs. Crawford is fully cognitively intact. There is no medical basis for any competency proceeding. This is not a case of a concerned daughter looking out for her mother. This is financial exploitation and attempted elder abuse. Judge Martinez turned to Nadine's lawyer. Mr. Crane, how does your client respond? Crane stood, adjusting his tie. Your Honor, my client has nothing but love and concern for her mother. The actions she took were based on genuine worry about Mrs. Crawford's well-being. There was no scheme, no exploitation, just a daughter trying to help. And the $5,000. Mrs. Crawford Phillips had authorized access to the account. The withdrawal was made in good faith for a deposit on a facility that Mrs. Crawford had agreed to enter. I never agreed to anything, I said quietly. Judge Martinez looked at me. Mrs. Crawford, you will have an opportunity to speak. Please let the attorneys finish. I nodded, but my point had been made. Crane continued his defense, claiming misunderstanding and good intentions. But his arguments were weak. The evidence was too strong. Finally, Judge Martinez held up her hand. I have heard enough. The courtroom fell silent. Mr. Crane, your client's actions do not suggest concern. They suggest calculation, withdrawing money without explicit consent, arranging placement in a facility without the resident's agreement. compiling documentation of alleged cognitive decline over the course of a year, and paying $10,000 to a psychiatrist with a questionable reputation. She turned to Nadine. Ms. Crawford Phillips, I am going to be very clear. If you pursue any competency proceeding against your mother, you will face an uphill battle. The evidence suggests that you are the one who needs to be investigated, not her. Nadine's face was white. Furthermore, I am ordering that you have no access to any of your mother's financial accounts or property. Any attempt to interfere with her affairs will be considered contempt of court. Your Honor, Crane started. I am not finished. I am also referring this matter to the district attorney's office for review. The allegations of financial exploitation are serious enough to warrant investigation. Nadine stood abruptly. This is not fair. I was just trying to help her. Sit down, Ms. Crawford Phillips. She is old. She is confused. She does not know what is good for her. I said sit down. Nadine remained standing, her face twisted with rage. You are all going to regret this. All of you, especially you, Mama. She pointed at me. This is not over. You think you have won, but you have no idea what I am capable of. Judge Martinez banged her gavel. Ms. Crawford Phillips, you are in contempt of court. Bailiff, remove her. Two officers approached Nadine. She struggled briefly, then allowed herself to be led out of the courtroom, still shouting threats. The hearing was over. The immediate danger was past. But Nadine's words echoed in my mind. You have no idea what I am capable of. She was right. I did not know, not yet. But I was about to find out. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Nadine spent the night in jail for contempt of court. I did not sleep that night either. I lay in my bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words over and over. You have no idea what I am capable of. What did that mean? What else was she planning? What weapons did she have that I had not yet discovered? The questions haunted me until dawn. The next morning, Harold called with news. Nadine was released this morning. She paid the fine and was let go. What happens now? The district attorney's office is reviewing the case. They may or may not pursue charges. These things take time. And Nadine, what is she doing? I do not know, but Beatrice, I want you to be careful. Her outburst in court was concerning. She is not thinking rationally. People like that can be unpredictable. I understand. Have you considered staying somewhere else for a while? With your sister, perhaps, just until things calm down. I thought about it, running, hiding, letting Nadine chase me out of my own home. No, I am not leaving. This is my house. I will not be driven out by my own daughter. Then at least take precautions. Change your locks, install a security system, keep your phone charged and nearby. I will. But even as I agreed, I knew that locks and alarms would not protect me from what Nadine might do next. This was not about physical danger. This was about a woman who had spent a year building a trap, watched it fail, and was now desperate enough to try anything. Desperate people are the most dangerous kind. 3 days after the hearing, Jerome called. Mrs. Crawford, we need to talk. In person, somewhere Nadine will not find us. His voice was tight with fear. What happened? I cannot explain over the phone. Please, it is important. We met at a diner on the other side of town, a place neither of us had ever been, a place where no one would recognize us. Jerome was already there when I arrived. He looked terrible, pale, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes. Thank you for coming, he said as I slid into the booth across from him. What is going on, Jerome? He glanced around the diner, making sure no one was listening. Nadine is planning something big. I do not know all the details, but I know it is bad. What did you hear? She was on the phone last night. Late. She thought I was asleep. She was talking to someone, I do not know who, about alternative options. About making problems disappear. My blood ran cold. Making problems disappear. What does that mean? I do not know, but she sounded different, cold, calculating, like she was discussing a business transaction, not a person. Did she mention my name? She said the old woman. She said, once she is out of the picture, everything falls into place. I sat back in the booth, my heart pounding. Out of the picture. That could mean a lot of things. It could mean having me committed to a nursing home. It could mean having me declared incompetent. Or it could mean something far worse. Jerome, do you think Nadine would hurt me, physically? He was quiet for a long moment. A month ago, I would have said no, absolutely not. But now, I do not know who she is anymore. She has changed. Or maybe she was always this way and I just did not see it. Who was she talking to? Do you have any idea? I checked her phone this morning while she was in the shower. There was a number she called last night. I wrote it down. He slid a piece of paper across the table. I do not know who it belongs to, but maybe your lawyer can find out. I took the paper and tucked it into my purse. Thank you, Jerome. This took courage. I am scared, Mrs. Crawford. Scared of what she might do. Scared of what I have been a part of. Then help us stop her. That is the only way through this. He nodded slowly. I will do whatever I can. I brought the phone number to Harold that afternoon. I will have it traced, he said. It might take a day or two. And in the meantime, we assume the worst. If Nadine is talking about making problems disappear, we need to take that seriously. You think she would actually try to hurt me? Harold looked at me with grave eyes. Beatrice, your daughter has already proven she is willing to steal from you, lie about you, and try to have you declared mentally incompetent. At some point, we have to stop being surprised by what she is capable of. He was right. I had been holding on to a hope, a foolish hope, that somewhere inside Nadine, there was still the daughter I had raised. The little girl who used to climb into my lap and tell me I was the best mama in the world. But that little girl was gone. Or maybe she had never existed at all. Maybe she had always been a performance, a mask hiding something darker underneath. I did not know anymore, and maybe it did not matter. What mattered now was survival. That night, I called Marguerite. I need your help, I said. More than legal advice, I need protection. What happened? I told her about Jerome's call, about Nadine's late-night conversation, about the phrase, making problems disappear. Marguerite was silent for a long moment. Beatrice, I am going to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. Go ahead. Do you believe your daughter is capable of having you killed? The question hung in the air. I thought about Nadine, about her coldness, her calculation, her willingness to destroy anything that stood in her way. I do not want to believe it, I said finally, but I cannot say no, not anymore. Then we act as if the threat is real. I am calling a friend of mine, a private security consultant. He will assess your situation and recommend precautions. Is that really necessary? Beatrice, you have a daughter who has already committed financial crimes against you, who has been found in contempt of court, and who is now making threatening phone calls about making problems disappear. Yes, it is necessary. I did not argue. Marguerite was right. I had been treating this as a family dispute, a disagreement that could eventually be resolved. But this was not a dispute anymore. This was war. And in war, you did not win by hoping your enemy would come to their senses. You won by being prepared for the worst. The security consultant arrived the next morning. His name was Samuel Ackefer. He was a former military police officer, now running a private security firm. Marguerite had worked with him on several cases involving witness protection. He walked through my house with careful attention, noting every door, every window, every potential vulnerability. Your locks are outdated, he said. I am going to have them replaced with smart locks that can be monitored remotely. I am also installing cameras at every entrance and a motion sensor system around the perimeter. Is all of this really necessary? Mrs. Crawford, I have seen cases where family disputes turned violent, more often than people want to believe. Your daughter has made threats. She has financial motivation, and she has already shown she is willing to break the law to get what she wants. He looked at me directly. Better to have protection and not need it than to need it and not have it. I nodded. Do whatever you think is necessary. 2 days later, Harold called with the results of the phone trace. The number Nadine called belongs to a man named Vincent Delacroix. He runs a private investigation firm, but that is just the surface. Underneath, he has a reputation for doing other things. What kind of other things? Intimidation, harassment, making problems go away for clients who can afford his services. There are rumors of worse, but nothing proven. You think Nadine hired him to hurt me? I think she hired him to do something. What exactly, I do not know. But Vincent Delacroix is not someone you hire for legitimate purposes. I felt sick. My daughter had hired a man known for making problems disappear, and I was the problem. What do? We bring this to the police. The phone records, Jerome's testimony, Delacroix's reputation. It might not be enough for an arrest, but it will put Nadine on their radar. And it will make Delacroix think twice about taking any action. Do it, whatever it takes. The police were skeptical but concerned. Detective Marcus Williams listened to our story with the patient attention of a man who had heard too many family disputes. Mrs. Crawford, I understand your concerns, but we cannot arrest someone for making a phone call, even to a person with a questionable reputation. She said she wanted to make me disappear. That is what your son-in-law claims, she said. It is hearsay, not evidence. So you are not going to do anything. I did not say that. Detective Williams leaned forward. I am going to have a conversation with Ms. Crawford Phillips. Let her know that we are aware of the situation. Sometimes that is enough to discourage further action. And if it is not, then we will cross that bridge when we come to it. It was not the answer I wanted, but it was something. The police visited Nadine the next day. I was not there, but Jerome told me about it afterward. She was furious, screaming at the officers, saying she was being harassed, saying her mother was a crazy old woman who was trying to destroy her. Did they believe her? I do not think so. They were very calm, very professional. They told her they were just following up on concerns and that they hoped there would be no further incidents. How did she respond? She slammed the door in their faces. I closed my eyes. Nadine was not backing down. If anything, the police visit had made things worse. She would see it as an escalation, a challenge. And Nadine did not back down from challenges. 1 week after the police visit, I received a letter. It was from a law firm I did not recognize. The letter informed me that I was being sued. Dear Mrs. Crawford, our firm has been retained by Ms. Nadine Crawford Phillips to pursue a civil action against you for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and tortious interference with business relations. I read the letter 3 times, barely comprehending. Nadine was suing me, her own mother. The claims were absurd. Defamation for telling the truth about her actions, emotional distress for defending myself, tortious interference for, what? Protecting my own assets. But the lawsuit itself was not the point. I understood that immediately. The point was harassment. The point was to drain my resources, to keep me fighting on multiple fronts until I was too exhausted to continue. This was Nadine's new strategy. If she could not steal from me directly, she would bleed me through legal fees. If she could not have me declared incompetent, she would make my life so miserable that I would give up just to make it stop. She was trying to win through attrition. I brought the lawsuit to Harold. This is frivolous, he said after reading it. The claims have no merit. We can have it dismissed. How long will that take? Weeks, maybe months. The courts are backlogged. And in the meantime, we respond. We file motions. We build our defense. How much will that cost? Harold hesitated. Defending a lawsuit is not cheap, Beatrice. Even a frivolous one. You are looking at thousands of dollars in legal fees. Thousands of dollars. Money I had saved for my retirement. Money Nadine was trying to drain away through endless legal harassment. And if we countersue? We can file a countersuit for malicious prosecution, abuse of process, but that will cost money too, and it will take time. I sat back in my chair, feeling the weight of it all pressing down on me. This was what Nadine wanted. She wanted me to feel overwhelmed, hopeless, ready to give up. But I was not going to give up. Not now, not ever. File the countersuit, I said, and anything else you can think of. I am not going to let her win by wearing me down. Are you sure? This will be a long fight. I have been fighting my whole life, Harold. One more battle is not going to break me. That night, I sat alone in my living room, surrounded by the silence of my house. I thought about everything that had happened, the letter from Sunset Grove, the confrontation with Nadine, the court hearing, the threats, the lawsuit. My daughter had decided my future without me. She had assumed she could move me around like a piece on a chessboard, depositing me wherever was convenient for her plans. I had accepted it at first. I had played the role of the defeated old woman. But that was strategy, not surrender. That was patience, not weakness. And now the real battle was beginning. My phone rang, unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Mrs. Crawford, a man's voice, deep, cold. Who is this? A friend of your daughter's. I wanted to introduce myself. Vincent Delacroix. There was a pause. Very good. You have done your homework. What do you want? I want to give you some advice, Mrs. Crawford, free of charge. I am listening. Your daughter is a very determined woman. She has resources. She has patience. And she has friends who are willing to help her achieve her goals. Is that a threat? It is an observation. Sometimes the smartest thing a person can do is recognize when they are outmatched. Step back. Let things take their natural course. And if I do not, then things might become complicated for everyone involved. I gripped the phone tighter. Let me give you some advice, Mr. Delacroix, free of charge. I am a 71-year-old woman who has survived more than you can imagine. I have buried a husband, raised ungrateful children, and built a life with my own 2 hands. I do not scare easily, and I do not back down. Mrs. Crawford, if you or anyone else comes near me, my family, or my property, I will make sure you regret it for the rest of your miserable life. Are we clear? Silence on the other end. Then a soft laugh. You have spirit, I respect that, but spirit only gets you so far. The line went dead. He had called to intimidate me, to make me afraid. But I was not afraid. I was angry. And anger, properly channeled, is the most powerful weapon of all. The battle lines were drawn. The enemies were revealed. And I was just getting started. Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe, like, turn on the notification bell, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The morning after Vincent Delacroix's call, I woke with a clarity I had not felt in weeks. Fear was gone. Doubt was gone. All that remained was cold, focused determination. My daughter had declared war. She had hired a man to threaten me. She had filed a lawsuit to drain my resources. She had done everything in her power to break me. But she had miscalculated. She had assumed that age meant weakness. That being 71 meant I was fragile, confused, ready to surrender. She forgot who raised her. I called an emergency, meeting at Harold's office. Marguerite flew in from Atlanta that morning. Darius took the day off work. Even Terrence came, though he sat apart from the others, still carrying the weight of his guilt. Nadine has escalated, I began. She has hired a man named Vincent Delacroix to intimidate me. He called me last night with thinly veiled threats. Did you record the call? Marguerite asked. No, I was not prepared, but I will be ready next time. Harold leaned forward. This changes things. Threats over the phone, combined with the lawsuit and the earlier financial exploitation, we are building a case for criminal harassment, possibly stalking. What about Delacroix himself? Darius asked. Can we go after him? If we can prove he is acting on Nadine's behalf, yes. But proving that connection is difficult. These people are careful. They do not leave paper trails. Jerome might be able to help, I said. He gave us the phone number. He might know more. Where is Jerome now? Still living with Nadine. He is trying to gather more information. Marguerite shook her head. That is too dangerous. If Nadine finds out he has been talking to us, she could turn on him. And if Delacroix is involved, Jerome could be in real danger. I know, but Jerome insists on staying. He says he needs to make things right. Guilt is not a strategy. We need to get him out of there before something happens. I called Jerome that afternoon. You need to leave, Jerome. It is not safe anymore. I cannot leave yet. I am close to something. Close to what? Nadine has been meeting with someone, a man I do not recognize. They meet at a coffee shop across town, always at the same time. I followed her yesterday. Did you see who it was? No, but I took pictures of Nadine, of the man, of his car and license plate. My heart raced. Send me those pictures, immediately. I will, but Mrs. Crawford, there is something else. What? I found documents in Nadine's office, hidden in a locked drawer. I managed to get it open while she was out. What kind of documents? Financial records, bank statements, investment summaries, but not hers, yours. Mine. How does she have my financial records? I do not know, but she has everything. Your accounts, your property values, your insurance policies. It is like she has been building a complete picture of your entire estate. I felt sick. She has been planning this for longer than we thought. There is more. There was a document labeled timeline. It had dates and actions listed. The nursing home placement was just the beginning. There were other steps: getting power of attorney, selling the house, liquidating your investments, and at the end. What was at the end? Jerome's voice dropped to a whisper. It said final resolution. I do not know what that means, but it was scheduled for 6 months from now. Final resolution. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Get out of there, Jerome. Tonight. Take those documents and get somewhere safe. I will, I promise. And Jerome, be careful if Nadine finds out what you know. I know, I will be careful. Jerome sent the pictures that evening. Darius ran the license plate through a contact at the DMV. The car was registered to a corporation, a shell company with no clear owner. But the pictures of the man were more useful. Harold recognized him immediately. That is Marcus Webb, the psychiatrist Nadine was paying to evaluate you. They are still working together. Apparently, even after the medical board complaint, even after the court hearing, Webb must be desperate or stupid, or both. What are they planning? I do not know, but if Webb is still involved, it means Nadine has not given up on the competency angle. She is still trying to find a way to have you declared unfit. How? Dr. Euler's evaluation was clear. The judge dismissed her claims. Judges can be appealed. Evaluations can be challenged. If Nadine finds a sympathetic court or a compliant doctor, she could try again. I shook my head in disbelief. She is relentless. She is obsessed, Marguerite corrected. This is not about money anymore. This is about winning, about proving she can beat you. Then we need to end this, permanently, before she finds another angle of attack. The next morning, Jerome called in a panic. She knows. Nadine knows I have been talking to you. How? I do not know. Maybe she found the pictures on my phone. Maybe someone saw me following her, but she confronted me this morning. She was screaming, throwing things. She said I was a traitor. She said I would regret betraying her. Where are you now? A gas station. I left with nothing, just my wallet and my phone. Come to my house, immediately. Are you sure, if she follows me? The security system is in place. Samuel Acaffer has people watching the house. You will be safe here. Okay, I am on my way. Jerome arrived 30 minutes later. He was shaking. His shirt was torn. There was a scratch on his face where something had hit him. She attacked you. She threw a lamp at me. I ducked, but it grazed my cheek. I sat him down and cleaned the wound. Did you bring the documents? No, I could not get to them. She caught me before I could grab anything. My heart sank. So she has them back. Yes, but Mrs. Crawford, I remember what they said. The timeline, the accounts, the final resolution. I can testify to what I saw. Your testimony is valuable, but without the documents themselves. I know, I am sorry. I should have been more careful. You did what you could, Jerome. You put yourself at risk for me. That counts for something. He looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I was part of this, in the beginning. I went along with Nadine's plans because I thought she knew best. I did not ask questions. I did not stand up for you. No, you did not. I am trying to make it right. I know it does not erase what I did, but I want to help. I want to stop her. I studied my son-in-law, this weak man who had been Nadine's puppet for so many years. He was trying to change, trying to become someone better. It was too late to save his marriage. It was too late to undo the damage he had caused. But it was not too late for redemption. Then help us, Jerome. Tell us everything you know, every detail, every conversation, every plan. I will, I promise. Over the next 2 days, Jerome provided a complete picture of Nadine's schemes. She had been planning this for over 2 years, longer than any of us had realized. She had systematically gathered information about my finances. She had researched nursing homes, guardianship laws, and estate procedures. She had cultivated relationships with people who could help her, Dr. Webb, Vincent Delacroix, corrupt officials willing to look the other way. Her original plan was simple. Convince me to move to a nursing home voluntarily, then gradually take control of my finances while I was isolated and vulnerable. When that failed, she pivoted to the competency approach, using Dr. Webb's false evaluation to have me declared unfit. When that failed, she turned to harassment and intimidation, the lawsuit, the threats, the phone calls. And now, with all her plans exposed, she was becoming increasingly desperate. The final resolution, Jerome said. I think it meant making you disappear permanently. You mean killing me? I do not want to believe that, but Nadine has changed. She is not the woman I married. She has become someone I do not recognize. What do you think she will do now? I do not know, but she is not going to stop. She cannot stop. She has invested too much. She has gone too far. If she backs down now, she loses everything, her reputation, her freedom, maybe even her marriage. Her marriage is already over, I said quietly. Jerome nodded. I know. I filed for divorce this morning. The divorce filing pushed Nadine over the edge. 2 days later, she showed up at my house. It was late afternoon. The security cameras caught her approaching the front door. Samuel Ockhaffer's team alerted me immediately. Do not open the door, Samuel advised over the phone. We have eyes on her. Police are on the way. But I did not listen. I walked to the front door and opened it. Nadine stood on my porch. She looked terrible, thin, pale, wild-eyed. Her hair was uncombed. Her clothes were wrinkled. She looked like a woman who had not slept in days. Mama. Nadine. We need to talk. There is nothing to talk about. Please, her voice cracked. I know I have made mistakes. I know I have hurt you. But please just let me explain. I studied my daughter. This woman I had raised. This woman who had tried to destroy me. And I saw something I had not expected. Fear. She was afraid, not of me, not of the police, but of what she had become. 5 minutes, I said, then you leave. We sat in my living room, the same room where this had all begun, when she first told me about Sunset Grove. Nadine sat on the edge of the couch, her hands trembling. I never meant for it to go this far, she said. I thought I was doing the right thing. The right thing, stealing from me, lying about me, trying to have me declared mentally incompetent. I thought you were declining. I really did. I saw the signs, the forgetfulness, the confusion. I thought if I did not act, you would hurt yourself. I was never confused, Nadine. I was never declining. You saw what you wanted to see, what you needed to see to justify what you wanted to do. She flinched. Maybe you are right, but Mama, I was desperate. Terrence needed money. Jerome's business was failing. We were drowning, and your estate was just sitting there, unused. So you decided to take it, without asking, without permission. I was going to take care of you. I was going to make sure you had everything you needed. In a nursing home 45 minutes away, where you would visit once a month if I was lucky, where I would die alone, forgotten, while you spent my money. That is not. Do not lie to me, Nadine. Not anymore. I know everything. The timeline, the final resolution. I know what you were planning. Her face went white. How do you know about that? Jerome told me, before you attacked him and drove him out of your house. Nadine's expression shifted. The fear melted away, replaced by something colder. Jerome is a traitor. He had no right to go through my things. He had every right. He was trying to protect me from his own wife. Protect you, from me. Mama, I am your daughter. You stopped being my daughter the moment you decided I was worth more dead than alive. The words landed like stones. Nadine stared at me, her face contorting through a range of emotions. Shock, hurt, rage. I never wanted you dead. The final resolution says otherwise. That was not, I did not mean. What did you mean, Nadine? Explain it to me. What was the final resolution? She could not answer. She just sat there, her mouth opening and closing, no words coming out. That is what I thought. I stood up. Your 5 minutes are over. Get out of my house. Mama, please. Get out, now, before the police arrive. As if on cue, sirens wailed in the distance. Nadine's eyes went wide. You called the police. My security team called them the moment you showed up. You are violating the court order by being here. Mama, I did not come to hurt you. I came to apologize, to fix things. Some things cannot be fixed, Nadine. Some damage is permanent. The sirens were getting closer. Nadine stood, backing toward the door. This is not over, she said. I will not let you destroy me. I am not destroying you. You destroyed yourself, every choice you made, every lie you told, every scheme you hatched. This is the life you built, Nadine. I am just making sure you live in it. She fled through the front door, just as the police cars pulled into my driveway. Nadine was arrested that night for violating the court order. Combined with the evidence Jerome had provided, the harassment, the threats, and the conspiracy with Delacroix and Webb, the district attorney finally had enough to pursue charges. She was charged with financial exploitation of an elderly person, criminal harassment, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Dr. Webb was charged separately for his role in the scheme. Delacroix was arrested 2 weeks later on unrelated charges. Turned out he had been running scams against multiple elderly victims across the state. The trial took 6 months. I testified. Jerome testified. Dr. Oylerin testified. Harold presented the evidence we had gathered, the bank records, the phone traces, the photographs, the timeline Jerome had seen. Nadine's defense was that she had been acting out of love, that she genuinely believed I was declining, that everything she did was for my own good. The jury did not believe her. She was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 5 years in state prison. The day of sentencing, I sat in the courtroom and watched my daughter being led away in handcuffs. She looked at me one final time. Her eyes were empty, defeated. The fire that had driven her for so long had finally burned out. I did not feel triumph. I did not feel satisfaction. I felt only sadness. This was my daughter, my flesh and blood, the baby I had held in my arms 62 years ago, the girl I had raised, loved, sacrificed for. And now she was going to prison, because of choices she had made, because of greed she had nurtured, because of a darkness I had never seen until it was too late. After the trial, life slowly returned to normal. Jerome finalized his divorce and moved to another state. He sent me a letter apologizing again for his role in everything. I did not respond, but I did not throw the letter away either. Terrence worked to rebuild his relationship with me. It was slow, painful, full of difficult conversations and long silences, but he was trying, and that counted for something. Darius became my rock. He visited every week, helped me with legal matters, and made sure I never felt alone. And Marguerite returned to Atlanta, but we talked on the phone every day. She was the sister I had always needed, and I was grateful she had been there when I needed her most. 1 year after Nadine's conviction, I celebrated my 72nd birthday. It was a small gathering. Terrence and his family, Darius and his girlfriend, a few friends from church, people who cared about me for who I was, not what I had. As I blew out the candles, Terrence raised a glass. "To Mama, the strongest woman I know." "To Mama," everyone echoed. I smiled, but the smile was bittersweet. I had survived. I had won. But victory had come at a terrible cost. I had lost a daughter. Not to death, but to something worse, to greed, to obsession, to a darkness that had consumed her completely. And I would carry that loss for the rest of my life. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I sat alone in my living room. The same room where Nadine had first told me about Sunset Grove. The same room where I had confronted her with evidence of her crimes. The same room where I had told her to get out of my house. I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal, the schemes, the threats, the trial. My daughter had decided my future without me. She had assumed she could control me, manipulate me, dispose of me whenever it was convenient. I had accepted it at first. I had played the role she expected, the resigned mother, the confused grandmother, the old woman ready to surrender. But that acceptance was strategy, not defeat. It was patience, not weakness. And when the time was right, I had shown her exactly who she was dealing with. If you are watching this story, I want you to remember something. Age is not weakness. Experience is not decline. Being old does not mean being helpless. My daughter thought she could decide my future without me. She thought I would accept whatever she dictated. She thought I was too old, too tired, too confused to fight back. She was wrong. I accepted it at first, but acceptance can be a weapon. Patience can be a strategy. Silence can be preparation for the moment when you finally speak. And when I finally spoke, my daughter learned a lesson she will never forget. You do not decide someone else's future without their consent, especially not your mother's. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Thank you for being here through every twist and revelation. If this story moved you, please subscribe to this channel. Press the like button. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story. And drop a comment. Tell me where you are watching from. Tell me if you have ever had to fight for your own future against people who thought they knew better. I want to hear from you. I want to know I am not alone. Because none of us are alone. We are all connected by our struggles and our strength. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stand up for yourselves, and never let anyone decide your future without you. Your life is your own. Make sure it stays that way. If this story touched you, please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell for more emotional stories like this. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Somewhere out there, I might be reading.